Welcome to Bird Dog Politics. I'm BDP. Yesterday's episode had 18 views, most ever. Previous high was 10 views. Thank you to my community. Start small. I keep hearing Brian Tyler Cohen, the Pod Save guys call for more progressive voices. I'd like to add mine. Sounds a little Canadian, but that's okay. Not much in the news today. Yesterday was the anniversary of the 14th Amendment. That, of course, states that any person born in America is an American. I was born here. I'm not a Finlander. I call myself a Finlander, especially this weekend when the Finns softball team takes on the Polacks softball team. And the Swedes softball team takes on the Wops softball team. And WAP is just a slur for Dago, and Dago is just a slur for Italian. But that's the culture up here. We're all white people, so now we divide ourselves into our heritage groups one weekend a year. I've got a Swede jersey from my grandpa. I'm 7/8 Finn and 1/8 Swede. I can track it to all my grandparents and which boat they came over on, which is nice. A bit of an exaggeration, but I know a lot about my history, and it's unfortunate that so much history was erased for other Americans who don't know about their ancestors. We harmed them. But the 14th Amendment says if you were born in this country, you're an American. I'm not a Finlander, I'm an American. My son's an American. My future daughter, in about 3 weeks, or less if my wife is lucky, will be an American. Because we're born here. It's in the Constitution. It's the 14th Amendment. So anyone who says we should terminate parts of the Constitution or we should suspend parts of the Constitution. Second Amendment? Do that one first. We don't need Armitage rifles. But I know he wants to get rid of the 14th. I'm sure he wants to get rid of that whole rule about presidents only serving 2 terms. He says he'd love to serve for life, which at 78 and obese probably won't be too terribly long, but I fucking insist on having an election in 2026 and 2028. And Americans are probably with me on that. This is not a land of kings. You're not buying citizenship. So President Trump would like to nullify the 14th Amendment. If you're born in America, you're an American. Anchor baby, like his son Barron. Actually, like all of his kids. But if you buy a Trump gold card for $5 million, hey, you're an American citizen now. You don't have to be born here. You can pay the president $5 million and get this gold chunk of plastic. That's not how this country runs, and I'd hate to see this country change because Donald Trump wants it to change that way. Let's keep following the Constitution, don't you think? Texas is still working on the recovery. It sounds like Kristi Noem was very slow to address the problem. And I'm reminded that the best people, the new director of FEMA, was shocked to learn that there's something called a hurricane season. Now, I live in the Northwoods. All I have to worry about is blizzards. But I know that there's a hurricane season. It runs from June through November when the ocean waters are warm enough to sustain hurricanes. That, and I teach it to my 4th graders every year. Climate change, global warming, whatever you want to call it, because I know you like to disregard and throw shade onto it. What if hurricane season extends into December? What if those ocean waters stay warm enough for hurricanes into December? Yesterday, 18 of you saw it, we had 27 different billion-dollar emergencies related to weather, related to disaster. 27 times $1 billion worth of damage was done. We need the federal government to respond. States can't raise 27 billion, 27 different times, raising $1 billion to solve their problems. The United States is much larger, has a much larger revenue base to draw from. Blue states feed in their tax revenue constantly. Red states extract tax revenue from the feds. States can't do it on their own, especially red states. They don't have money. They take from the federal government. Blue states contribute to the federal government. But the leader of FEMA was unaware that there is a hurricane season in this country, and he should be prepared for hurricane season in this country. Probably just some political lackey who bought his position. We fired all the experts, all the nerds who chose public service, and we installed dipshits from MAGA world. We just bombed Iran. Iran is a known terrorist funder. And the director of terrorist prevention is a 22-year-old grocery bag boy. I guess I should have got a better job. The bag boy wrote an essay about how great Donald Trump is. And he got himself director of terrorism prevention for writing an I Love Donald Trump essay at 22 years old as a grocery bag boy. We are not prepared for terrorist threats after we bomb Iran, after we jump into the Middle East, support Israel, bomb Hamas, jump into Iran. Did you hear Pete Hegseth stopped delivering aid to Ukraine and didn't tell President Trump? And President Trump says, I don't know about that. Why don't you tell me about that? Holy shit. That's as bad as Governor Abbott saying, I'm not aware of 6 vacancies at the National Weather Service in Kerr County. How are these leaders so unaware of what's happening under their leadership? President Trump, you need to know that the Fox News guy, the Fox Weekend guy, is unilaterally stopping shipments of supplies to Ukraine. You didn't know he did that? What have you been doing? Executive time? That's terrible. Remember in the first term when President Trump had executive time all morning? He'd grab his phone, he'd go sit on the throne, and I think Fox News or MSNBC was on in the bathroom. Because he'd live tweet from the throne. Morning Joe is lying about me again. I swear, my inauguration had more attendees than Barack Obama's inauguration. Just look at the pictures. And we did. We looked at the pictures, and the picture from Obama's inauguration has a lot more people than the picture from Trump's inauguration. And that was the start of the lie. And then 30,000 times in 4 years. Basically, every time the man's mouth was open, a lie was coming out of it. From the easy to prove to the tougher to prove. And I saw a TikTok that said something about identity fusion. When he came down the golden escalator and he said, Americans are working way too hard for way too little money. A lot of Americans said, yeah, we sure are working too hard for too little money. Then he said, the American people deserve better. They should be able to make ends meet. And Americans said, yeah, absolutely. Where's all our money? And Donald Trump said, all the money is with illegal immigrants. And I looked around the Northwoods, and there are no illegal immigrants. And I go out and watch the TV, and there are no illegal immigrants driving Ferraris or convertible Camaros. But the insurance guy in town is driving a convertible Camaro. And the bankers are living it up, buying yachts that have parking spaces to load their smaller yachts onto. I don't think the illegal immigrants have my money. I think the banks and the insurance companies and the rich people have my money. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars have flowed upwards. Trickle up economics. It's not trickle down economics. Horse and sparrow economics. The horse wants oats. The sparrows also want oats. Well, let's feed the horses. Sparrows will get the oats later. That's trickle down economics. We'll give all the money to the rich until they're so rich they say, help me, I'm so rich, I don't want all this money. I have to give it away to good-looking podcasters with YouTube channels and white shirts with blue little somethings on them. Bank account's looking low today. It's not because I'm working less after 19 years of teaching, taking letters training, 2-year project. My district agreed to pay $1,000. The letters training is worth 12 college credits or 120 continuing clock hours. And I'm learning a lot. It's intense, but it's not helping pay the bills. And so here's hoping that bird dog politics, not only do I think it's important to add a progressive voice, because I hear that constantly, and not only do I really, really believe in what I'm saying, but hey, some people get famous. What if an adult went viral? That's the goal. I'm not going to come out here and rage and put clickbait titles on. Scratch that. I am putting clickbait titles. Yesterday's clickbait title got me 18 views. I called it Republican Priorities. This one I'm going to call Epstein. Because it was such a slow news day yesterday, the only real news was Donald Trump took a question on Epstein. Done with my notes for the day. There's a flight log to Epstein Island. Donald Trump flew to Epstein Island once. Donald Trump flew to Epstein Island. 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 7 times Donald Trump flew to Epstein Island. Many more times than that, he stood and posed for a picture with Jeffrey Epstein. There's video evidence from Epstein Island of Donald Trump sitting in a chair next to Jeffrey Epstein, pointing at the little teenage girls who are likely dancing. There's video of Donald Trump dancing with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. When he was asked by Fox News if Donald Trump would release the Epstein files, he was a savvy politician. You thought he wasn't a politician? He was exactly a politician. He said, they said, Mr. President, will you release the Epstein files? And his answer went like this. Yeah. I think he was waiting for the cut so that they could make a short or a reel out of it. Mr. President, will you release the Epstein files? Yeah. Well, not the Epstein files. I mean, the Epstein files could damage a lot of people's political careers. I mean, who knows what's in there? That could ruin a lot of people. Might say that Donald Trump flew there 7 times and was there 7 times because he flew there 7 times. But this identity fusion that happened, Donald Trump is one of us. He's a makeup-wearing dude who cheats on all his wives, who has anchor babies with immigrants. Can't name a book of the Bible, much less a verse. Stiffs his business partners, doesn't pay his bills, doesn't pay his lawsuits. This man is nothing like me. I would never fly to Epstein Island 7 times. If I agree, if I ask someone to work for me, my buddy the electrician comes and does work for me, I don't stiff him. I pay my bills. I go to church. I know that the book is called 2 Corinthians. What are we doing? How can we trust this man who's lied 30,000 times and is now lying again? Wants to terminate our Constitution. And then he said, you only have to vote one more time in 2024. After you vote in 2024, we'll fix it and you'll never have to vote again. I have a very serious problem with that. Can you imagine if he doesn't have to be voted in again? Next year's big, beautiful bill that Republicans bend over backwards and do whatever he wants. The Constitution is suspended because he felt like it. And Democrats have no leadership. Nobody from the military says, this guy's out. Nobody invokes the 25th. Everyone just bends over backwards for this narcissist in makeup who keeps saying ridiculous shit and no one calls him on it. He was right. We're not going to have a country anymore if we let this continue. He was talking, of course, about illegal immigration or whatever, the liberal left, the loonies that want people to make money when they work all day, want people to be able to vote and have ranked choice voting so that they can pick a third party. We are so sick of Democrats and Republicans. Republicans are ultra-right. Democrats are center. Bernie Sanders is this wild leftist who says working all day should pay the rent and the bills and the food. Healthcare should not be tied to your employment. If you're sick, get healthy. This is the richest country in the world. How do we not have money for healthcare for our poorest people? Because there's this group that believes when the rich do well, everyone does well. A rising tide lifts all boats. Well, some of us aren't on a boat. Some of us are swimming. And every time you rise, every time that tide rises, it gets a little tougher to swim. We're not in yachts. Some of us are in rowboats. Some of us are treading water. And you like it that way, and we know you like it that way. Senator Murphy said, well, maybe we cozied up a little too much to corporate. Maybe that's why Democrats lost the election. Well, Kamala Harris backed off of universal health care. She said, nah, insurance companies are still where it's at. Are you kidding me? I have to pay into insurance. Then I got to pay my deductible. Then I can still go bankrupt if I catch cancer? That's unacceptable. 32 other countries. President Trump said to the Australian Prime Minister, Australia is known for their great health care. Maybe someday America will have better health care. Let's get rid of Medicare. Let's get rid of Medicaid. Let's get rid of Obamacare. Just let people die. If your boss only hires you for 32 hours a week, you don't need to get bennies because you're a part-time employee. Better to hire 7 part-timers than 3 full-timers. It's cheaper for the company. Makes the stock price go up, and that's what's most important, isn't it? Not to me. Not in my Christian heart. I'm a public servant. I'm here to serve others. My wife's a public servant. My sister's a public servant. My brother-in-law's a public servant. My stepdad was a public servant. My grandpa was a public servant. There's no shame in that. We're not salespeople. We just choose to serve others. But even the salesman could use a little more cash. The public servant certainly could. And here we just blew a $3 trillion hole in the deficit, or blew a hole in the budget, increasing the deficit. Something like that. So that the rich can have more and more and more and more. And these guys who say, hang Mike Pence, want to see the Epstein files. And Pam Bondi said, they're sitting on my desk. And so when President Trump was asked yesterday, it's like, they're on Pam Bondi's desk. No. She had a Dr. Pepper and a calming candle on her desk. And she knocked the Dr. Pepper over and the Epstein files got all wet. So she held them over the candles to try to dry off the Dr. Pepper, and then poof, there's no Epstein files that say that Donald Trump flew there 7 times. Sorry. I'm not going to be that guy. This is bird dog politics. This is not screaming politics. That's the way I'm going. My wife says you have a nice, calm, cool voice. You're easy to listen to. Hope so. Thanks, babe. Yesterday, 18 people agreed. Let's see if we can do 18 again. I would love to. This is Bird Dog Politics. Another progressive voice to add. Hit me up, Brian Tyler Cohen. Hit me up, Pod Save. Robert Wright, Lawrence O'Donnell. John Oliver. Let's blow this thing up. We need another progressive voice, and Bird Dog Politics might be it. Programming note. My son is camping with his mother for this weekend, and then next week he's at sleepaway camp. So I am going to try to do a double each day. In the morning, I'll do my regular news, reviewing what Heather Cox Richardson had to say, what Lawrence O'Donnell had to say. In the afternoons, I'm going to try to expand the bird dog character. I want to do a football talk, a Zennial talk, a Christian faith Lutheran talk, a teacher talk, a men's mental health talk. And these will just be one-off specials so that if you have someone, if you want to grow this movement with me, you can say, hey, did you ever see this bird dog guy talk about football? Or, hey, did you ever see this bird dog guy talk about his religion? I want to encompass as many different aspects of myself. You know how social media creates this 2-dimensional view of someone. I want to be the first 3-dimensional social media figure. I'm going to invite you to many, many, many parts of my life. When my baby girl is here, I'm going to do girl dad specials and newborn specials. And the more you know about me, I've said before, people don't care what you know till they know that you care. So feel free, please come meet me in as many ways as you feel comfortable, and share me in as many ways as you feel comfortable. I've got a blue sky that's full of lefty propaganda about how we should have universal health care and how working all day should pay the rent. It's just wild on my blue sky. I have my Reddit, where I'm more of a dad, more of a bruh. I'm on the Daddit, the new metal, political revolution, gotta hit the base. But I like to show as much of myself as I can. The typical media figures you see in 2 dimensions. Bird Dog Politics is about something bigger. At least that's the goal. That's been the fantasy since New Year's. And so we'll see what I can do. And if I'm right, we just might fix some things. Like, share, subscribe. 18 views yesterday. Let's go for 50. Thanks, I need you.